Hello and welcome to lesson 6.5. Today we're going to solve inequalities using multiplication and division. Take a moment to solve and explain why or why not whose inequality solution is correct, Alex or Hope. Well, let's go through the lesson and see who's right. Solving inequalities that use multiplication and division using positive values. The important thing to note here is that we are talking about positive values. The reason why this is important is because you will, when using positive values, solve your inequality the exact same way that we did when we solved equations. So Gina's pet pot-bellied pig is on a diet. He can have no more than 18 ounces of pig food per day. How many scoops of pig food can Gina feed the pig without going over 18 ounces? Well, they show you first step is to write an inequality that represents the situation. So you know that he cannot go over 18 ounces. Okay? So you know whatever the answer is going to be, it has to be less than or equal to 18. He can eat 18 ounces, but he cannot eat more than that. So you're going to use the less than or greater than sign. You also know that the maximum amount he can eat is 18. Well, then you're trying to figure out the number of scoops that she can feed this pig. Well, in each scoop, you are going to have 4 ounces per scoop. So you have 4 times S is less than or greater than 18. So, looking at step 2, then you're going to solve. Remember, draw a line down from your inequality symbol. Use the opposite operation to solve. Well, what's the opposite of 4S? That's multiplication, so the opposite would be to divide. They show you here, divide both sides by 4. Type in your calculator, 18 divided by 4. What do you know? S is less than or equal to 4.5. So you are going to graph your dot on 4.5. That's halfway between 4 and 5. Then you are going to shade the numbers that are less than or equal to 4.5 because you're shading for your variable. So this will be a closed circle because it's less than or equal to, and you will shade to the left just as they did in this diagram. Okay, so let's try one. Now we have D divided by 7 is greater than 15. Well, the opposite of division is, that's right, multiplication. So we're going to multiply both sides of the equation by 7. So now we have D is greater than 15 times 7, which is, that's right, 105. So, looking at this, is our circle going to be open or closed? That's right. Our circle is going to be open because there is no equal sign. It's just the greater than sign. So we need to draw an open circle on 105. Then what we have to do is look. Okay, D is touching the greater than side. So that means D has to be greater than 105. So you're going to shade to the right all the numbers greater than 105. All right. Now, there's another thing that we have to talk about. We have to talk about dividing with negative numbers. So when you're talking division of inequalities and you are dividing by a negative number, please notice in this particular problem, we have negative 3.4m is less than or equal to 17. Well, to get rid of this multiplication problem right here, we're going to divide. But we are dividing by a negative number. So, because we are dividing by a negative number, you have to flip the sign. Okay? So whenever you're dividing by a negative number, you have to turn the inequality sign around. So your negative 3.4's go away. You have m is greater than or equal to negative 5. So yes, then you have to look at it. You have a closed circle because it's greater than or equal to on the number negative 5. And then m is touching the greater than side, so you have to shade the numbers greater than negative 5, so you're shading to the right. Now, I want you to try one over here on your own. Pause the video and give it a try. Is this what you came up with? Remember, you had to flip the sign because you're dividing by a negative number. So, now again, pay close attention to what you're talking about. So we have negative 7.8. Well, that's going to be right in front of the negative 8. And is it going to be open or closed? That's right. It's going to be an open circle. You cannot stop on it. It does not say it's equal to. Then the x is touching the greater than side, so you have to shade the numbers greater than negative 7.8. Try this other one. Pause the video and give it a try. Is this what you came up with? An open circle on 19. Y is greater than, so you have to shade the numbers greater than 19. All right, so the same goes for multiplication. Whenever you multiply by a negative value, again, you have to flip the sign, okay? So this is a division problem. The opposite of division is multiplication. You have to flip the sign. So the key thing for today's lesson is whenever you're multiplying and dividing by a positive number, your sign stays the same. You do it just as you would when solving any equation. But whenever you're multiplying or dividing by a negative number, you have to flip the sign. So they multiply by negative 2.25. So they flipped their sign, as you can see here in red. Then in their calculator, 7 times negative 2.25 is negative 15.75. Here they have this broken down. Be sure you look at your number line as to what it's broken down by. And be sure you locate your variable whenever you're going to shade. So go ahead and try A and B. Did you come up with k is greater than negative 6? That's right. Now graph an open circle on negative 6 and the numbers to the right because the k is on the greater than side. Now, what do you do over here on B? Remember, whenever you have a fraction, you are going to multiply by the opposite. So you have to multiply both sides by negative 4/5. Once you do that, you multiply straight across. Remember to flip your sign. 25 times negative 4 is negative 100. Divided by 5. H is less than or equal to negative 20. It's a closed circle on negative 20. H is touching the less than side, so you have to shade to the left. The number's less than. That concludes our lesson for the day. Please remember, when you divide or multiply by a negative number, you must flip the sign of the inequality.